Good morning, everyone. Thursday morning, and we still have lots of weather activity across mostly the central U.S., but a long front is very visible here on the satellite loop this morning, stretching through the eastern lakes and approaching New England and much of the Northeast. Still have this slow moving system, mostly affecting offshore areas of the Carolinas, but there are some active clusters of showers and storms still in the Carolinas. And then we had a blow up of thunderstorms here. We'll take a closer look at here in a minute. So it's still a pretty active pattern, one that's very wet and does have severe weather potential, of course, which is what this particular daily video, is all about. So we'll take a look at the radar this morning, and there are a couple of clusters of showers and storms, one notably north of Memphis there on the Kentucky-Tennessee border. Just weaker showers through Kansas and parts of Oklahoma. And then the most active thunderstorms for sure are these that are crossing at or just south of the Red River Valley there in North Texas. And this is the outlook for today, which I'll talk more about in a minute, but this is the highest level of severe weather risk. So this obviously is meant for thunderstorms that haven't developed yet, not these. So we'll take a look at that. Here's a new product here. We'll take a look at lightning detection. And I think this is over the last hour or so, so it shows the very intense lightning strokes associated with these thunderstorms that I just showed you on radar down here in portions of Texas, and they're also around, just to the east of the Boot Heel there in Missouri. There's a little bit of activity as well. Let's see what the radar's forecast will look like, at least by one model's opinion. So this long area of severe weather is supported here by what is showing up as just clusters and lines of showers and storms that will form along that front today. A regeneration of activity is noted here, and that is what is causing the enhanced area for severe weather risk. You notice that these clusters keep moving east and are going over the same portion of ground again and again. So that's why the rain totals are really racking up as well. Let's go ahead and look at that forecast for today. Now, first, I just have a broad look because it does stretch all the way up to Maine at level 1 chance, which is marginal. It has a name, marginal. Yellow is slight, and then 3 is enhanced. And you can see where all the activity is. We'll zoom in on that. So much of Oklahoma, a good chunk of southwest Kansas. In fact, they're under Dodge City, that area, the level 3 out of 5 severe weather risk for today, as is Lubbock, almost down to Midland, and portions of eastern New Mexico as well. There is a tornado risk associated with that. So the SPC's take on this is a 5% chance of a tornado within 25 miles that covers basically from Midland to Amarillo to Dodge and into portions of western Oklahoma and eastern New Mexico too, with a 2% chance extending almost the entire length of the rest of the state of Oklahoma. If we look at Nadocast, this is a machine learning model that takes, I think, a few more models into consideration and is run fairly frequently, and it does show a 5% tornado risk right at the intersection there of Colorado, Kansas, and a little bit of Oklahoma for later on today. So again, that is in good agreement with what the what the official forecast is saying, and some of these other things like SIPS, for example, does show a high severe weather risk right along that same area, maybe displaced a little bit more to the west. It also does really try to emphasize severe weather there in Pennsylvania, New York, and parts of New England, whereas the there's no similar enhancement to the risk area at the SPC level. It's just all that level 1 throughout all here. So they may take a look at the data here today and make that a slight risk up there, or at least at some portion of that long line up in the Northeast. And SIPS also has a tornado product too. And what they do is they take a look at model data, the current model data, and compare it to similar looking data that happened in the past and are looking for analog matches. In other words, did we get tornadoes in something similar to this? And it definitely agrees at that area right between Kansas, Oklahoma, and Colorado, 5% risk out there. So those folks ought to be watching the skies. And CSU, this is Colorado State University's machine learning program, definitely agrees basically with that same assessment and agrees with the SPC's outlook of a general kind of longer area. They put 2% of green, and then the 5% is the brown, I'm sorry. And yeah, that's in pretty good agreement. Also looking at pretty good hail production in that exact same area and some wind production with that as well. All right, we'll go ahead to Friday tomorrow. So an elongated area of slight risk runs almost from Denver down through the panhandle of Texas and then due east straight through Oklahoma, Arkansas, southern Missouri, over into portions of Kentucky and Tennessee, almost all of those states actually. And that's for Friday. And again, it's an idea that this front has stalled out basically. The jet stream is not kicking it in any particular direction. It's just kind of sagging. So it's given unstable air plenty of time to build up. It's given moisture time to build up, which would lead to heavy rainfall in some areas. So this is a pretty good broad area of severe weather possibilities. The tornado risk is set at 2% forecast for Friday now, for just about that same area. So you just need to watch. Now the thing with tornadoes is this time of year especially is that they're very, very, whether they happen or not, it hinges a lot on where the thunderstorm is developed, literally 12 hours before, 6 hours before sometimes, or even less. So again, they're just kind of identifying that the broad scale winds are there, the instability is there. The low level winds, which are really going to get tornadoes going, are again dependent on smaller scale features. So watch that out for for that on Friday. CSU's tornado model looks about the same. They put a maximum just around Tulsa with the hail threat hanging back a little bit, at least the maximum hail threat, and an implication that a lot of these thunderstorms will produce some severe winds as they develop into these clusters. On Saturday, not a lot changes. It just shifts east a little bit more, and not by a whole lot. Again, there's nothing in the jet stream level to push this front out of here in any particular hurry, which is why this lingers into Saturday, even into portions of Sunday, but eventually we'll get rid of it here by next week, as you'll see. But a slight risk does cover Arkansas, the entire state of Tennessee, almost all of Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi, and the Dallas area is included in that, so is Memphis, Atlanta, Nashville, Knoxville, and even Charlotte, North Carolina. Take a look at the CSU idea of that. Tornado risk, more into Missouri than indicated by anything else, so just have to keep an eye on that. I live right there. Well, it wasn't a very good X, but anyway. I'm in the southwest corner of Missouri, so we'll keep an eye on that. The wind probabilities are also up into southern Missouri as well. Then we go into Sunday, and we have a split mode, I guess you could say. The front is leaving the East Coast, so there is a 15% chance of any type of severe weather through coastal areas or even central areas of the Carolinas and a small chunk of Georgia. And then there's kind of a relapse of severe weather possibilities out there through Texas again. And Texas and Oklahoma have been definitely the focus of almost every severe thunderstorm outlook that I've talked about for the last 2 weeks, and also the focus of a lot of the heavy rain, especially in Oklahoma. CSU for Sunday, this is what the SPC just indicated, so they definitely back that up. They put a little bit extra heavy hand on severe weather threats there from Lubbock, let's say, on over to maybe Wichita Falls. Nothing issued for Monday from the SPC or for the rest of the 7-day forecast that we look at here. You can see there is more stable air being carved out here in the central plains, but still kind of a broad brush, low probability of severe thunderstorms through all that area in brown. It even lessens more on Tuesday, and it even lessens more on Wednesday, but again hints that the jet stream's returning to a southwesterly flow here. That's always the case when you start seeing severe weather activity kind of hugging the east side of the Rockies like that, and then the other system is leaving. That's what these probabilities are all about. Let's go to NIU's supercell composite outlook. This is a percentage of supercell over a 7-day period, so it's not a forecast for any given day. But it does show, again, it emphasizes what we just talked about. Oklahoma and Texas, and stretching eastward somewhat is where most of these supercells are going to develop. On the second week, June 12th through the 18th, it shifts north, and it shifts north in a pretty big way. So Kansas, still portions of the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma, but getting up into Iowa now, and then backlashing up into, again, Montana, parts of Wyoming, a sign that that jet stream flow is increasing on average throughout that part of the world there. And then June 19th through the 25th, this is the third week of June, still very active on the supercell side. So lots of unstable air is available and enough of a jet stream. What the jet stream does is support these storms in a way that makes them supercells. So you have to have enough shear between the low levels and the upper levels. And this is not the same kind of shear that produces tornadoes at the surface. This is called bulk shear. It's deeper. So you just want these supercells not to collapse on themselves. Thunderstorms, that's what makes it a supercell. It lasts longer and can produce all modes of severe severe weather in theory. Well, that's today's Outlook here, summary for today. We'll have another one tomorrow morning. Thanks for watching today's edition of Severe Thunderstorm Outlooks. This is published every day after the morning Storm Prediction Center update. Also, remember to check that site off on day one because they update it fairly frequently. If you like this video, please like it. Also, you can subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.